Mark Twain in Hartford, Connecticut, was the home of Samuel Langhorne Clemens, Mark Twain, and his family from 1874 to 1891. The Clemens family had it designed by Edward Tuckerman Potter and built in the American High Gothic style. Clemens wrote many of his best-known works while living there, including The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, The Prince and the Pauper, Life on the Mississippi, Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, A Tramp Abroad, and A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court. Poor financial investments prompted the Clemens family to move to Europe in 1891. The Panic of 1893 further threatened their financial stability, and Clemens, his wife Olivia, and their middle daughter, Clara, spent the year 1895 to 96 traveling so that he could lecture and earn the money to pay off their debts. Their other two daughters, Susie and Jean, had stayed behind during this time, and Susie died at home on August 18, 1896, of spinal meningitis before the family could be reunited. They could not bring themselves to reside in the house after this tragedy and spent most of their remaining years living abroad. They sold the house in 1903. The building later functioned as a school, an apartment building, and a public library branch. In 1929, it was rescued from possible demolition and put under the care of the newly formed non-profit group Mark Twain Memorial. The building was declared a National Historic Landmark in 1962. A restoration effort led to its being opened as a house museum in 1974. In 2003, a multi-million-dollar, LEED-certified visitors center was built that included a museum dedicated to showcasing Twain's life and work. The house faced serious financial trouble in 2008 due partly to construction cost overruns related to the new visitors center, but the museum was helped through publicity about their plight, quick reaction from the state of Connecticut, corporations, and other donors, and a benefit performance organized by writers. Mark Twain first came to Hartford in 1868 while writing The Innocents Abroad in order to work with publisher Elisha Bliss, Jr. of the American Publishing Company. Hartford was a publishing center at the time, with 12 publishers. He moved into a substantial home in Buffalo, New York after marrying Olivia Langdon. However, he considered moving to a more opulent house in Hartford within 2 years, partly to be closer to his publisher. The family first rented a house at what was called Nook Farm in 1871 before buying land there and building a new house. Twain said of Hartford, "Of all the beautiful towns it has been my fortune to see, this is the chief. You do not know what beauty is if you have not been here." He was attracted to the town, which had the highest per capita income of any city in the United States at that time. The house was designed by Edward Tuckerman Potter, an architect from New York City. When it was being built, the Hartford Daily Times noted, "The novelty displayed in the architecture of the building, the oddity of its internal arrangement and the fame of its owner will all conspire to make it a house of note for a long time to come." The cost of the house was paid out of Mrs. Clemens' inheritance. The home is in the style of Victorian Gothic Revival architecture, including the typical steeply pitched roof and an asymmetrical bay window layout. Legend says the home was designed to look like a riverboat. According to a field guide to American houses, the house was built in the stick style of Victorian architecture. In 1881, an adjoining strip of land was purchased, the grounds re-landscaped, and the home was renovated. The driveway was redrawn, the kitchen rebuilt and its size doubled, and the front hall was enlarged. The family also installed new plumbing and heating and a burglar alarm. After its renovations, the total cost of the home amounted to $70,000, $22,000 were spent on furnishings, and the initial purchase of land cost $31,000. The Clemens family moved into the home in 1874 after its completion. The top floor was the billiards room and his private study where he would write late at night. The room was strictly off-limits to all but the cleaning staff. It was also used for entertaining male guests with cigars and liquor. Twain had said, "There ought to be a room in this house to swear in. It's dangerous to have to repress an emotion like that." The children had their own area with a nursery and a playroom/classroom. Mrs. Clemens tutored her daughters in the large schoolroom on the second floor. Clemens played with his children in the conservatory, pretending to be an elephant in an imaginary safari. He noted that the house was of us, and we were in its confidence and lived in its grace and in the peace of its benediction. The house underwent a major renovation starting in 1999, including work on the exterior wood, tile, and terracotta brick, and rebuilding the purple slate roofs. Restoration and preservation brought the house and grounds back to the state that they were in between 1881 and 1891, when the Clemenses most loved the house.